Hello, everybody. It's hard to believe this is week 8. This is it. If you've gotten this far, you've made it this far. God bless you and congratulations. We're going to look this last week. I know we have 3 books that we want to read from. I think it's important that you read through them. But everything for our Canvas discussion is going to, or everything for our discussion on Moodle is going to come from Beyond the Worship Wars by Tom Long, specifically the chapter In the Spirit on the Lord's Day. Long makes some arguments that are hard to hear, but we all know are true. So let me just unpack that. It is hard to hear, and it's also completely accurate. 2 quotes here. Personal style of leadership in a service of worship is a major factor in the effectiveness of that worship. Personal style of leadership in the service of worship is a major factor in the effectiveness of that worship. We can say things like it's about God and not about the preacher, or you should worship God regardless of the musician being quality or not, or I should not have, if we should let anybody sing in the praise band because hey, they got gifts from God and it honors God. No, that's not true. I'm sorry, it's just not. The personal style, and I would say effectiveness of the leader of worship is a major factor in the effectiveness of that worship. That said, we are all a work in progress. Some of us have gifts that are a bit more natural in certain areas. Others of us have gifts that God grows over time when we put in some work to grow into it. But we cannot deny the reality that giftedness and growth in that giftedness of our personal style of leading worship is a significant factor in the effectiveness of that worship. Let me tell you how I know this is true. I like to preach. I've had people tell me it's one of my gifts. I hate saying, "Oh, I'm a good preacher." I like to preach, and the most responded to gift I share is preaching. If you would have heard me when I got started, I am an introvert by nature and by choice. I have terrible public speaking skills from a childhood. I'm very socially awkward. I'm better now than I used to be, but I was pretty awkward socially until not all that long ago. I was a high school football player. In junior high, I was given the play by the coach on the sideline. My job was to run in, tell the quarterback the play, come back to the sideline after the play to get the next play. I lost my job on the football team because I got called Mumbles Mitchell because I couldn't even speak clearly to say veer right 25 counter. That was how bad I was as a communicator. God can grow us. God can, there's compound interest to our experience. I get all of that. But we have to own this truth that personal style in leadership in the service is a significant impact on whether that service of worship is effective. Long also says the personality of the worship leader is contagious. The only thing I don't like, the personal style and personality, I get that those are accurate. I would say that the word I would use is almost the commitment to professionalism. Excellence can sometimes be an idol. Perfection is definitely an idol. Polish can be an idol. I think that there's a sense of professional excellence that we know what our craft is and we're wanting to get better at it. From leading a song to playing a song, offering a prayer, sharing the sermon, inviting people to receive the Lord's Supper, and inviting people to give. That there is a professionalism and a commitment to excellence that we bring to speaking and leading and worship, because what Long says is 100% accurate. It is contagious. It is contagious. How do we know this? We've all been in worship where, things may be going well and it can just bring the whole service to a screeching halt when the person that's supposed to read the scripture verse is sitting back behind the lectern and they forget their time. So they get up there and then they realize they've got to find their Bible verse. And it's like Ezekiel, and they don't know how to find Ezekiel. You can say that's sloppy, but that's just a lack of professionalism. That's a lack of commitment to excellence to the worship of God. And a commitment to excellence and professionalism in the worship of God is contagious to other people. So I'm really big on this high horse, not because I want the church to be a production, though the idea of community theater is really solid. But we have to be honest about what a commitment to excellence in our worship presentation can do to move the church forward, and how our lack of professionalism can move the church backwards. I get that there are different thresholds for this in different styles of churches, different traditions of church, different sizes of congregations. I acknowledge that, but just because you're a casual country church, where small town church where everybody knows everybody, is not permission to be lazy and sloppy. It's not permission to be lazy and sloppy, because it dishonors God, and it becomes a roadblock for people to experience God when they come to your church, because the personality of the worship leader is contagious. All right, you're going to go through Long's book, as you're going to see in the question there. And I want you to kind of look, starting on page 100 through 104. He asks 4 questions, or he makes 4 statements, and I want us to look at them as the questions that we will answer. The worship leader should establish a positive personal connection with the congregation. You're going to read through how he describes that. The leader should gather the gifts of the congregation. He summarizes that. The primary leader should share the leadership of worship with others. And then the worship leader should, in word and action, embody the holy character of worship. And you're going to have, several, pages that summarize each of those. I know he uses the word leader here, and I am not assuming that we are all, solo pastors or lead pastors of a congregation. We have a really good mix here of lay leaders, music staff, music ministry staff, associate ministers, solo pastors, all that kind of stuff. But I just want you to insert yourself into that description, that you are the one that is facilitating this. I want you to look at those 4 statements, and especially look at the way he describes them. And I want you to answer these 2 questions. Which of these 4 statements am I strongest, and why? Kind of do a self-assessment, because if we know this is important, these are really good questions to do some self-assessment. Which of these 4 statements of these 4 statements am I the strongest in? And then explain and defend why you think this is your strength. And then which of these are you weakest? And why is that the case? And what are you going to do about it? So take your time on that. All right, a couple of housekeeping things here just to wrap up the video. We're done. I mean, we have 1 more week of posting, and then we have our final paper. There is a paper portal on Moodle that will allow you to turn your paper in. I know we emailed the last one, but we're hooked up this time for it to go right into into the portal. So you'll have a box where you can drop your paper off. Please utilize that. Any questions that you have between now and the end of our class, please feel free to write me. And what I said at the end of our last Zoom, I was completely serious about. Let me know if there's anything I can do along the line for you. I'm more than willing to have a conversation with you, Zoom with you, phone call with you. I'm more than willing to do that. I would be glad to help you all. You all are gifted people, and I'm really, really glad that I was able to kind of kick off teaching with you all. It means a lot to me. So thank you all. Stay safe, stay warm, and looking forward to your self-assessment. Take care.